ChatGPT said, Sue Aikens has never lived an ordinary life. When life below zero began, she was already seasoned by decades of hardship, both human and natural. Now closer to 60 than 50, she carries the marks of her survival, the scars, the surgeries, the broken bones, but also the strength that made her one of Alaska's most enduring figures. Her journey from an abandoned child in Illinois to a wilderness legend reads like something out of fiction, except that every brutal, unbelievable detail is real. Born on July 6, 1963, in Mount Prospect, Illinois, Sue entered the world during one of the hottest summers on record. Her mother, Nyoka, was only 19 and ill-prepared for motherhood. Her father worked long hours at a factory, and the little money they made went to rent. Sue's earliest memories were of hunger and noise, the rumble of a laundromat below their apartment and the silence that followed when her father came home too tired to speak. By age 2, her parents' marriage had collapsed after one violent night, when her father hurled a coffee mug at her mother. The divorce left Nyoka struggling to survive on $45 a month in child support. Sue learned to climb kitchen counters to reach crackers and peanut butter, and sometimes followed her mother on late-night dumpster dives for vegetables. Even then, she was learning that survival rarely looked clean or easy. When she was 3, her mother remarried a man named Eddie, whose drinking turned the household into a nightmare. Sue watched him stab a knife into the kitchen table 17 times during one of his rages. Another night, he destroyed her tricycle. She hid under her bed for hours clutching a stuffed rabbit, too afraid to move. From that point on, she learned to sense danger before it struck. The tremble of hands, the tone before a yell, instincts that would one day save her life in the Arctic. At preschool, teachers noticed she struggled to read. Letters flipped and twisted, and simple words refused to stay still. She was diagnosed with dyslexia and spent her early school years isolated, mocked by classmates who called her Stupid Sue. The shame of failure drove her toward something more tangible: strength. She decided that if she couldn't win on paper, she'd win in life. By the time she was 5, her mother had moved the family into a rundown farmhouse outside Woodstock, Illinois. Left alone for hours, Sue wandered the nearby woods, building traps from shoelaces and boxes. She caught her first mouse that summer and learned to follow the sun to find her way home. She also learned pain, after a raccoon attack left her needing stitches. But she loved the thrill, the raw pulse of survival, and she chased it from then on. When Sue was 11, her mother woke her in the middle of the night and said simply, "Pack, we're moving to Alaska." By dawn they were gone. The frozen wilds north of Fairbanks were nothing like the city she knew, but Sue adapted quickly. By 13 she was flying small planes, learning to navigate mountains and ice fields instead of highways. At 17 she returned to Illinois and worked at a diner, where she met a construction worker named Eddie Mollery. They married after just 47 days and soon moved back to Alaska. The marriage turned violent. During one fight, he slammed her into a wood stove, leaving a permanent scar. When she became pregnant, his abuse continued. A punch to her stomach sent her into premature labor. Her daughter Joanna survived, but barely, weighing only 3 pounds. Sue stayed, partly out of fear and partly out of guilt. Then Eddie was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. She cared for him until his death in 1985, when she was just 22. Grief pushed her deeper into Alaska's wilderness. She set up a tent near a river and lived off what she could hunt or trade. When a rabid wolf attacked her camp, she fought it off with a knife tied to a tent pole, killing it and earning the respect of the locals. That moment cemented who she would become. At 23, she was running traplines in the Brooks Range, walking miles through snow at 40 below, skinning lynx and wolverines with numb hands, sleeping in snow caves to stay alive. A year later, she earned her pilot's license, one of Alaska's youngest female bush pilots. When a whiteout crash nearly killed her in 1988, she splinted her ribs with duct tape, repaired the plane, and finished her delivery before seeking help. She took any work she could find, cooking in oil camps, guiding hunters, rebuilding cabins from scratch after lightning strikes. Each disaster only hardened her resolve. In the early 1990s, she leased a rundown oil camp along the Kavik River. The land was trashed, crawling with bears, and nearly uninhabitable. She cleared 42,000 acres by hand, turning it into a functioning camp that supported oil workers and hunters. When the state tried to reclaim it for overinvestment, She fought and won in court. By 2001, she'd made Kavik self-sufficient with solar power. Floods, injuries, and financial audits came and went, but she never quit. Then in 2007 she faced the fight of her life. While pumping water one afternoon, a grizzly bear attacked, mauling her for 20 minutes. It tore her scalp, crushed her skull, and left her for dead. Alone and bleeding, she crawled to her rifle, fired a warning shot, stitched her own wounds with fishing line, and kept her camp running for 10 days before help arrived. That attack nearly killed her, but it also made her famous. She used the insurance money to rebuild and began offering survival tours that drew visitors from around the world. National Geographic discovered her in 2012, filming Life Below Zero. Viewers instantly connected with her no-nonsense grit. She wasn't acting, she was living. Her scenes of butchering moose in the cold and repairing generators at 40 below became iconic. But behind the cameras, she clashed with producers who wanted fake drama. She refused, insisting on authenticity. In 2015, a snow machine crash changed everything. Pressured by a producer to speed across unsafe ice, she lost control and shattered her collarbone in 10 places. The crew filmed her injuries for hours before allowing evacuation. She sued the network in 2017, revealing faked wolf attacks, staged scenes, and callous treatment by executives who had labeled her expendable. She won a settlement the following year and later advocated for new safety laws to protect reality TV participants in Alaska. The years that followed brought both triumph and heartbreak. Her granddaughter died in 2023, and her mother passed away 2 years later, leaving behind painful letters that forced Sue to confront a lifetime of buried trauma. Despite spinal surgery and mounting legal battles over unpaid lease fees, she kept working. Her 2024 memoir Call of the Wild became a bestseller, detailing near-death encounters and secrets the show never aired. When National Geographic canceled Life Below Zero in 2025 after 23 seasons, Sue's final episode showed her buying a cabin at Chena Hot Springs, just months before wildfire nearly destroyed it. That summer, she launched a wilderness survival school with fellow expert Michael Heinrich, turning her hard-earned lessons into training for others. The program brought in hundreds of thousands of dollars and cemented her place as one of the last true Alaskan frontierswomen. After decades of survival, against abuse, poverty, predators, and corporate exploitation, Sue Aikens remains defiant. Her body carries the cost of every battle, her spine fused,